Troy and Eleni, we just closed on the sale of your business, Digital Current. Troy, I know you described yourself as an insomniac. How are you feeling? How are you feeling now that the deal's closed and the funds have been transferred and kind of you're over that hump?
Yeah, I think I found the right prescription. Eleni and I put nearly 21 years of our lives into these ventures, and a lot of that ride, especially towards the end, there's a lot of adrenaline, a lot of excitement and anxiety mixture, and I think that adrenaline rush just when we consummated the deal, it was just a lot of weight off. It was exciting that we were very grateful that we bore a lot of fruit in what we've done as entrepreneurs, and overall it's been an amazing process. I didn't think it would be as fun as it was. It's very exciting. A little bit of a roller coaster ride once in a while, but to be quite frank, I think experiences are different depending on who you're working with. This experience, it really kind of flipped how I even approached it and thought about it. There's understanding valuation was always a tricky thing, and I think that was something with you guys we were able to nail down pretty quick. I think the breadth of your network and the exposure that you have was able to bring a lot of very serious buyers to the table. The process that you went through was able to kind of push the tire kickers off for me. And really just allow me to focus on people who really wanted to do a deal and really saw the value in the company. The education that I received throughout the process. I mean, you guys were, beyond patient, and were and able to take something complex and bring it down to a level that an everyday person that doesn't do this could really understand what's going on. I think it was also, a very organized process, from setting up a data room to tracking items. Isaac, you really helped, I think, mobilize the buyer, the attorneys, the CPAs, us. You're really a central component to making sure that the process kept moving.
I loved working with both you and Eleni throughout the whole process. It was a lot of fun for us, and I think one of the interesting things, Troy, is that when we first met, you already had received an offer, and I think you were debating using a broker or not. And so I wanted to kind of ask you, what problem or solution were you looking for when you decided to hire a business broker?
To guide us through a process that you don't know, where you guys have been through this so many times. There's a lot of security in that. I also realize there'd be a lot of advantages on understanding things, being able to negotiate things. But one of the number one things that you said that really worked out is, let's create some competition.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that competition ended up getting us a higher valuation.
Yeah.
I also think it helped us negotiate part of the deal structures, because it's not just what you get paid, it's how you get paid, when you get paid. And can be a lot of components, from seller notes to rollover equity and different things like that can really complicate it. And I think that helped us shape a game plan on exactly how we wanted to go about this. And ultimately, I think most of the points that we wanted to negotiate had an amazing outcome, to be quite frank.
Great. What do you think the most complex parts of the negotiation were? And, from your perspective, how were we able to help you with that?
And I'll just piggyback that. Did it surprise you how much happened after you went under contract?
It was a crazy amount of stuff, but I think the way it was presented and organized, it was very doable for us. Especially having like these due diligence lists, for the legal stuff. The accounting stuff, I think, we can understand it a bit better, but a lot of the legal stuff and how to structure a deal, those are just some scary things, I think, for most owners. And I deferred often to you guys to help me on that part. And I think I don't think we would have been as successful with the law firm we were using as well. If we didn't have that support from you guys in our corner, knowing really what to expect and helping us understand some of the complexities behind these deal structures.
So were there any unexpected benefits of using website closers, that maybe you didn't anticipate up front?
I didn't anticipate a lot of this stuff up front. I thought, originally I thought, well, they're probably going to find us some buyers, then hook us up and sort of disappear behind the scenes. And that was never the case with how this worked. And the amount of effort and time you guys put in was so beyond anything I expected. And I think it made this deal happen a lot faster. And, we literally, got a deal done in 6 months. And I didn't anticipate that, but what a relief. I think some curveballs that we got along the way, of course, we negotiate into a deal. I think that we had a strategy, we were prepared, and I think we were even smart about when we pulled the trigger on certain things. And so I think we were very strategic throughout the process. It was very thoughtful. It wasn't like anything was being winged.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And one of the things that we enjoyed about working with you and Eleni was that you were really receptive to that feedback, and you were part of that whole strategic dialogue throughout the entire process, because it's got to be that kind of a two-way street where we're, there was a lot of times when maybe you and I would talk kind of at night and say, hey, let's try this and let's do this, or what about that? And we'd kind of come up with a game plan, and then it enabled us to be very coordinated when we had responses back to the buyers. And I think, I do think that helped to keep the process, as close to on track to the timeline that we wanted as we could.
I think there's another aspect I would add to that is, I never saw you guys as a broker. And it never felt that way.
Yeah.
It felt like you were a fiduciary and a partner that was, with us throughout that whole process. Like you were on our team, and I turn around and I look at Eleni, and we own the company, and we ran certain things. It just felt like we were all on the same team, and that you guys were really in our corner. And, we went with the deal that ultimately was the least amount of money for website closers. But the fact is you immediately steered me to this deal because of the different aspects of the buyer, their interests, how equipped they are to finance the deals, their level of understanding of the business so they could take it over, where we wouldn't have to sign long-term employment contracts and things like that. You actually guided me. Yeah, you guided me to the deal that was the best for us, period.
Yeah.
And I think you guys were really selfless in how you advised and guided us towards that deal. That was amazing. And as Lenny said, another big win is how we were able to sign these consulting agreements with very limited hours over a very short period of time. But that was a major component that we were able to negotiate in that really is allowing Eleni and I to transition into other things that we want to be doing a lot faster. And
that's great.
Well, also that your availability too, I have to say, Isaac, it didn't matter what time we were reaching out or where you were located. You made yourself available, whether it was weekends, evenings. And I think that's huge too, because during this time you have a lot of anxiety, and urgency, a lot of urgency. And so you want to know that somebody is there in your court that you can reach out to for advice, strategy, whatever the case might be. And that was extremely comforting for me.
The way I think about it is most of the clients we work with will sell a business one time in their lives. And they spend a large portion of their lives building that business and growing the business and nurturing it. So the sale of the business is extremely important. And obviously there's a lot of money involved, but it's more than just the money. There's a lot of emotion involved because it's something that you've built, you've seen it from the beginning to this kind of turning point in the business where you're going to turn it over to someone else. And so there is a lot of urgency around it, and it is extremely important. And the details all really do matter. Yeah, I take that seriously. And I know that, I know that if you're calling me and you've got a question, it's a really important question, and it was important to you. And so, yeah, I was happy to take those calls, and you guys are great to work with. So I'd never minded at all.
I would never have anybody go at something like this alone. Even if you've done it before, there's a lot of benefit to having somebody to brainstorm with and strategize with and plan with and have those kind of thought partners and stuff. There's just a lot of value to it.
Yeah.
I think the fee pays for itself, and the value you get out of the process and the end result.
Yeah. What would your advice be to another seller interviewing brokers? What would be important to you that they would be good at?
I think looking at a broker, how are they going to guide you through the process? So what kind of connections do you have? What is the size of your network? I talked to 7 different people and got 6 offers. I just didn't believe that would happen, and it happened in weeks. And one of the things I remember is you guys saying, well, let's field these people out and let's field more people. That's going to really have us understand what the buyers are willing to pay in this market. And then again, back to creating that competition that was really able to, drive a great deal home. When Isaac said, we'll get this deal done in 6 months, I said, yeah, I'm sure they tell that to everyone, but the fact is it actually happened. So I think understanding what tactics and techniques the broker is going to use to get the exposure.
Yeah.
And can they really create, a field of competition in a relatively short period of time? Do they actually have a history? And you guys will say, well, this is how we did it in the past. This is how we worked through it before. This is what we found to be effective. And I think a lot of that drove, the attorneys. I would also prepare any kind of questions that you have and try to get those answered, because there wasn't anything that I threw at you guys that you couldn't answer or you couldn't direct me to a place to get one.
Thank you for everything, really. This has been an absolute pleasure for a very difficult situation to get through, and appreciate all your help and effort in getting us here. Thank you.
I 150% recommend any prospective seller to get in touch with you guys. It's just hands down. We did this together, and we all win from it.